Hey guys, how you doing? Ray here again. This is just going to be a quick video, basically about oiling bearings. And this here is an Align Trex Pro 450. I like to oil my bearings on this after about 3 to 5 flights and oil the shafts, the main shaft, tail rotor shaft. What I have here, this is a LaBelle synthetic oil, multi-purpose, lightweight. You get your little oil bottle here, and you get your needle that goes on the end. I like to do the motor bearings on this also, so I got this a little extra long, needle. You can get at the motor, the bearings on this, without taking it apart. Let's take the canopy off. Okay, what I do is I start out with a Q-tip like this. I don't like using the sprays, and I will move the swash up and down, and I will clean the main shaft with one of these, and also the tail rotor shaft. Then I will oil on the 3 points here, alright, on the top here, the middle, and underneath on the main shaft, and I will move that up by hand slowly and make sure the oil gets all over it, nice and distributed. Then the center of the swash here that wraps around the main shaft, that inside of there I will drop a few drops of oil on the top, and I will flip it up, and also underneath. Alright. Now, the swash plate needs oiling to itself. If you tell somebody the swash plate turns, they look at you and say, "What are you, nuts? The swash plate doesn't turn. It's got linkages here. It's locked in place. How could it turn?" Well, it does turn. The top part turns, for anybody out there that doesn't know that. Alright, it's a simple error on a newbie's part, but it does. The top part does spin. And underneath there is a big bearing in there that needs oiling, alright? And you'll see it underneath the swash on the outer ring. Oil that up, guys. Very important. You want it to run smooth. Maybe after about 20 flights I'll take the gear out and I'll clean the main bearing in there, and I'll re-grease that. The tail rotor back here. Clean your main, your tail rotor shaft there with a Q-tip too. Oil that up. Alright. You have bearings back here, guys. You have one on the outside on this and one on the inside of the tail casing. Oil those up. And also your tail, the pitch slider has 2 bearings inside of there too. If you look at your manuals will tell you where all the bearings are. This also has bearings in the casing in the front here and to the back, and then there's one in the center here for your the shaft. It has one in the center that it rides on, torque tube shaft. And here there's also bearings. I don't do those after every 3 to 5 flights, but I'll do those probably after about 15. The motor has a bearing on the top and a bearing underneath. If you have this particular type of helicopter, you can access the bearings. You could see it. There's one there inside, and you can access this one from the top inside of there. There is another bearing. It's important to keep those oiled too. On the thrust bearings in here, you don't have to get too crazy with. I put grease on the thrust bearings in there. Anybody who buys Align helicopters, Align does not put any grease on those, so you do have to take it apart and do it yourself. If you want a little bit smoother and better performance, I would recommend doing it. Alright. And if you follow those procedures, you'll have a bird that's running like this, beautiful and smooth all the time, and you won't have to worry about bearings burning out on you in mid-flight. You also have 2 very important ones that are on the main shaft. You have one on the top and you have one underneath here in there. This one you can access, the one on the bottom on top of the gear. This one you can kind of access. I have the spacer in there, so it's a little tough, but you can get at it with the needle. Those are basically the ones to worry about, guys. And you know, just your basic pre-flight checks of making sure everything is tight. Your screws, your tail casing in the back, and you should have some trouble-free flights for a while there if you do that. If you choose not to do the bearings, you'll probably be replacing them. If you do keep them oiled, they should last you a long time, guys, and be smooth like that. Alright, that's just some of my little tips. You can pick these up at your local hobby shops. This is I like this one because it's actually a synthetic oil, and it's very light, which means it'll get into these bearings that are shielded. It will seep in there, okay? They look sealed, but it will seep in. Race bearings are a little easier because they're open and you can just put the oil in there, like in the MCX2 and the little E-Flight helicopters. Those do require oil too. Anything with a bearing, I recommend oiling it. And I had a Blade 400 at one point, and I didn't do that, and I had a tail bearing burn out in mid-flight, and I lost the tail rotor, and it wasn't pretty. So ever since then, get yourself a little $3, $4, $5 bottle of oil. Take your time to do that. Maintenance is part of owning these things, whether it's nitro cars, whether it's this, whether it's a real car or home, anything. Everything requires maintenance, guys. Nothing is maintenance free. So these are just some little tips. I hope you got some ideas and something out of this video. I thank you very much for watching. If you'd like to subscribe, it's Nitro Kyosho. Thank you for watching.